Ladies and gentlemen, our extended CWI family, I'm Nitro Wyman, President and CEO of Championship Wrestling International. I prepared a statement today in regards to the allegations made on the East Coast Invasion Tour by both Jim Thompson and the Newfoundland Constabulary. All the information that we put together is between text messages, Facebook messages, and it has been all regulated and verified by Six Nations Police, who is the regulatory body here in Ontario for both Championship Wrestling International, as we're based on Six Nations Indian Reserve. I apologize about looking down to this prepared statement, but it's important that I get all of this information out to you, the public. I first off apologize about the delay in the release of our official response to the allegations made by the Newfoundland Constabulary and also Grand Falls Windsor business owner Jim Thompson. Secondly, thank you all for the support shown to myself and the CWI family. You have really shown us your loyalty and dedication to our product, and it's rewarding to us to have a great fan base that really wants to make a difference in today's wrestling industry. As you all know, there were some serious allegations made towards myself and CWI only a short month ago. These allegations range from credit card fraud to not paying our venues on the East Coast Invasion Tour. Furthermore, the allegations made by Jim Thompson, which included the venue non-payment, not paying our charity, cheated a travel agent, and running out on a bill at the Glen Mill Hotel. Basically, to elaborate on this a little further, and all of this information will be posted online in regards to this video response so that you can take a look at it with your own two eyes. Basically, these are just some of the most important pieces of information. There has been numerous other texts and messages that has been submitted to the authorities, and they have them. However, we're not going to share all of them, just the ones that we feel are the most important. In regards to the non-payment of the venues, I invite any of you to call any of our venues and find out that we paid either all of them up front or it came out of ticket money. That allegation is 100% false. In regards to not paying for the charity, we did pay our charities. The ones that we actually dealt with, that we personally dealt with, we made sure we looked after them, and they participated in the 50-50 raffle and the memorabilia raffle. The Autism Society of Newfoundland was one of those charities, and they would gladly back this story up. Now, in regards to the Ronald McDonald House, we have some text messages here from Jim Thompson, and I'd just like to share them with you, which you will be able to see online at a later date. Me and my partner will donate $1,000 to any charity you want if we can talk Hulk into a screeching. That was one of the requests made by Jim Thompson. This is a text message from Jim Thompson. We basically had talked to Hulk and seen whether it was possible to do that, and we got confirmation that he would do that. And if you look on YouTube, you'll find multiple videos of him getting screeched in. There was also some more messages. Basically on the 23rd of August, Jim Thompson sent me a message saying, which charity do you want us to drop the G on? And that's also in this documentation. Now, to follow up with that, I basically responded to Ronald McDonald House, as that's who he referred to us as somebody that we should probably help support. Now, he also responded with, now this was on the 25th. Tell Serena we just dropped off $500 for the SPCA in your personal names. Now, also followed up on that, and this is all on the same date. Also on the 25th of August, the message right after that was on top of the Ronald McDonald House, and this evidence shows that he was supposed to make these donations, in which he hasn't made on our behalf. Now, there's some other messages in regards to the hotel. Now, there is a couple messages that we have both in text form. One of them just telling me Hotel Corner Brook just called and they wanted a guest list. I didn't even know until about the 18th what hotel we were actually even staying in, as I had absolutely nothing to do with this. Now, if we go to a Facebook message here, there's a long message between me and Jim, actually more than one message, a long thread I should say. Basically one of the messages was, and this is how it all got started, this is from Jim Thompson. One last thing, ha ha ha. Is the idea of making a deal with a pub for the official after party a possibility? Maybe the boys would sell some merchandise and autographs, pictures again. I could help with that if you want to. Now, basically in response to that, I basically told him what the fee is in order to have the CWI superstars come to the party. That fee pretty much equaled the same amount as what the hotel was, and I told him, I said, well, fine, if you want to get us the hotels in Corner Brook, as in accordance with this hotel, which I believe was called the Crave, in which we were supposed to go there, sign autographs, have some drinks, and have some food, which we fulfilled. Now, if you look further on into this message here, also the rooms in Corner Brook are booked and secured by me for CWI, and the after party club agreed to pay the fee. Now, this thing basically was looked after by Jim. He was kind of the regional promoter. The only communication I had with the actual hotel was they had called me just before we left. We left on August 11th to go out east. They had called to confirm that Jim Thompson was a contact person that had the authority to speak in our behalf, and at that point in time he did. And you'll see there's many other messages on here between me and Jim where it shows that he was in charge of pretty much looking after everything for the most part, everything from trying to get a limo to picking up Hulk at the airport. He was a great asset, we felt at the time. Now that we've addressed pretty much all of the allegations made by Jim in regards to running out the bill at the Glen Mill Hotel, like I said, we had really no idea where we were staying. He looked after the entire deal, and we just lived up to our end, which was supplying the talent at the after party. Now, to furthermore on the Jim situation here, he also mentioned about the travel agent. I cannot find all of the information in regards to that, but she did book the first class flight for Hulk to fly up from Tampa. However, she wanted us to book the rest of the flights with her, which we had no problem doing if they were at a reasonable rate. Her price came in at almost $10,000 more than what we could book ourselves. With that being the case, we decided not to go with her, but in return we gave her a $2,000 corporate table and advertising at the show, as travel had been brought to you by her particular company. She had made a statement to us only a few days before the show, to Jim as well as us, by calling our office here in Ontario, stating that if we didn't book the airlines, the rest of them through her, she would cancel Hulk's flight. With that threat being in place, we tried to rework another flight for Hulk, and we couldn't. And because CWI always does what we say we're going to do, we ended up having to charter a Lear jet and fly Hulk from Tampa to Gander to make sure he was part of the Grand Falls show as well as the Corner Brook show. We paid a considerable amount of money for that, but we do believe in giving the fans what we always promise them. So to make a long story short, for this travel agent to say that we ripped them off, I think we're the ones that got ripped off on this deal. Now, to furthermore on Jim Thompson, there was one more message, one more text here I have, which is spread out between a page and a half. Now, this was sent to me by Hulk Hogan himself, basically in reference to when all this started happening. Jim decided to start sending some messages to Hulk, and I'll basically kind of read through exactly what it says. Who do I contact about booking for you? I represent a company that wants to bring you to St. John's, Newfoundland. Hulk basically just responds, who are you? He comes back with basically a photo message that has Hulk and himself in it from one of the shows. He goes, I still get calls today asking to bring you to the capital city, the only show to sell out on the CWI tour. And then to follow up with that, basically he's just saying the way, no shape or form is he affiliated with CWI or anything to do with me for that matter. And basically that, and he sent a link to a Grand Falls newspaper, the Advertiser, in which he went public with all these allegations. So it appeared that he was trying to not only bury us and bury our name, but he also was trying to steal Hulk from out from underneath us by offering him a contract and bringing him out to the East Coast without us participating. We do believe that the only reason he did this was to try to get himself out of paying his bills, and that's part of what this statement continually reads in regards to that. As we move on, I'm quite sure you've seen that Jim Thompson has been very inaccurate. He tried to put us in the situation that he was in, where he was supposed to pay the hotel, where he was supposed to pay two charities. It was only supposed to be one, the Ronald McDonald House is what I responded to, but he said 500 went to the SPCA, which I'm totally fine with that. We're always out to help anyone and everyone we possibly can. Now, in regards to the credit card fraud allegations, it's really quite simple. The credit card is a business partner's. The whole thing came about at the Sackville show in Nova Scotia. I get a call from Steve LaCour, the card holder and partner, asking me about a hotel in Mount Pearl charging $5,000 in change for our stay. I told Steve that this is not correct and I will look into it. Over the next 24 hours, I attempted to try to get to the bottom of this price hike. Without getting into extreme detail, there was a breakdown in talks between myself and the Mount Pearl Hotel. That on my next call to Steve, I told him to reverse the payment as we were not going to get frauded. We would then make a payment of a lesser amount, more adequate to what it was originally agreed to. This is really how the whole thing started. But this is where things we figure made a turn for the worse. Sometime during the call to Visa to reverse payment for fraudulent reasons, Visa took things into their own hands and noticed that this card was being used on numerous occasions on the East Coast, mainly Newfoundland. Visa, we believe, thought had a huge problem on their hands and then contacted the authorities. During this process, we believe they both thought they had a viable case of a stolen credit card, and then proceeded to cancel all purchases made, with myself being in the dark on this whole thing until Jim Thompson texted me and told me the Newfoundland Constabulary were looking for me, and I was going to take this statement and was going to take his statement about me and this credit card fraud. After being notified, I immediately called the Newfoundland Constabulary quickly. Basically, I just kind of called and left a message. I didn't hear anything from anybody. And that being the case, I did kind of tell them, hey, just to basically fix the misunderstanding that we were authorized to have this credit card, and basically tell them not to spend any more tax money on a case that really isn't even relevant at this point. It was just a misunderstanding. So basically, in regards to the credit card, there was allegations that we never had authorization to use these credit cards. Well, I got some documentation here from the actual card holder, Steve LaCours, and once again, I only went to a couple of the messages, and these will be posted online as well. And I'll read two of them to you right now. Now, this is from Steve, and this would have been on the... I'm sorry, I don't see the date right now. Oh, on this July 27th. How much did you rack up? Do you want me to go in and pay some off? Just tell me a rough estimate what you put on. I know there's a $50,000 limit, or I know there is $50,000. That is the limit, but I have no problems to pay the card off down here. Basically, he was just making a statement that we had some issues with some credit card payments. One of them being NTV. It was for a fee of almost $10,000. They canceled it as they believed it was fraud. We had to get a hold of Steve to reactivate the card. He was worried we had spent the whole credit limit, which we didn't. It was actually just they had stopped it because it was fraud. He had restarted it, and we proceeded. There was more than one business and more than one media group that we had sponsorship deals with that had used this card, and because of the large amounts, it kept getting canceled, and he kept turning it back on. Now, there's also another statement from him. Now, this one was made after the show, and basically it just basically says, I wonder if you can do me a favor. Can you put some money on the Visa? They called me again. I'm not asking you to pay. Drive is just to keep the peace. Basically, I'm reading it word for word. He's not the greatest texter in the world, and there's some mistakes in the words, but basically he just asked me to make a payment. On the 26th of August, I actually did make a payment of $2,500 on the credit card, as he told me that was the minimum payment. Now, those two text messages plus multiple other text messages has already been given to the Newfoundland Constabulary, is basically clarifies this case that we had 100% authorization to use this card. Stephen LaCours is a partner, and well, maybe not a partner right at this moment, but was a partner and participated in this entire tour, and 100% gave authorization for these cards to be used. Now, as back to the statement, just so I don't miss anything, as you all see, this whole thing was a crazy misunderstanding and a crusade by Jim Thompson to avoid making the necessary payments. We have and will never do business that way. We pride ourselves on producing a great old school program for the Canadian fans and create awareness and funds for local and national charities. This company only started because of the passing of my mother and the assistance I wanted to provide for her charity. I don't do this to create any harm, and I am very discouraged at some of the media for taking this story as told by Jim Thompson to the extent taken without any consultation with myself. CWI is here to stay and will always stand tall in the face of adversity, and this is just another obstacle on our path that we will overcome. To any of the businesses affected by this disturbance, I encourage you to call your local detachment and inquire about when and how long it may be before your funds are returned from the credit card company, as they were accepted and authorized at the time of purchase, and I see no reason why that should be any different. Thank you for your time, everybody, and I hope this clears up this whole mess. It has plagued me for weeks that this is even happening, and I'm glad it's coming to a close. The authorities has received this information and many other pieces to put this to rest. From here, CWI will continue to provide a true alternative in Canadian pro wrestling as we embark on our Fall Invasion Tour that's happening this November 17th through to the 19th, including Fall Brawl 2, which is in Caledonia, Ontario. I do thank you for your time. I hope this helps clear up this matter. As you can see, to make a long story short, it was a crazy misunderstanding. I had authorization to use my partner's credit card. we authorized these payments to go through. We never once canceled them, and I see no reason why they ever were to get canceled, except for the fact that I believe maybe the Newfoundland Constabulary and Visa may have thought they had a case of a stolen credit card, and that wasn't the case. Like I said, there was more documentation that has been given to the police that verifies this. This is just kind of like the tip of the iceberg, just some information for you, the public. I do care about all the fans, the friends of CWI, and the supporters, and it's important that they get this message. I thank you very much for your time. It's very much appreciated. I hope this does clear things up. Be safe, stay strong, and CWI for life. Thank you.